The next portion of our job success monitoring is there's an earnings report that's given to us or sent out to you that we prepare. That most of you don't see, but I know Monty sees it. It comes out to the PMs, CEs, and the executive team. It's for the executive team's benefit. They're the ones that had us do this. All it does is a report that calculates every job's earnings for the month, just so they can see and track and say, okay, X job is doing pretty well. They've been maintaining a 5% incremental progress. And so it kind of it's a way for everybody to track that on the executive side of it. So really, you don't really see this, but it's one more thing that we're using to help manage the process. And if somebody who's in the middle of their job is usually having 5% progress billings and they dip down to 2.5%, well, obviously that's a red flag that says something's wrong. Let's find out what the problem is and maybe questions are asked so that we can correct that and get back on track. So that's just one more way of reviewing that. This section right here, it's not shown on your scorecard. We have a separate evaluation process that's sort of just a way to, when we're doing, say, schedule maintenance throughout the months, or if we do a recovery schedule, or if we have to do any kind of rework to the schedule, maybe the next phase of, after design's complete, we're going to do a revamp of the baseline schedule. We will make sure everybody's involved that needs to be involved, project managers, superintendents, construction executives, quality control, what have you, that everybody's involved and giving their input so that we have a really good schedule. And we kind of evaluate that and just think about that through the process and make sure that, hey, everybody's involved. So it's sort of a, touch and go thing. It happens with the ebb and flow of the project from the very start to the end. One item I'd like to mention here that is when we have delay analysis. In other words, when you have a rain delay or if the owner asks you to install, X amount of dirt more or less, and we need to do, a frag net and capture the delay in time, we will make sure that that process is also efficient. So the information you provide to me is accurate, so I can build you a frag net, a time impact analysis, so that you can then go to the owner and go after that time and be made whole for that delay. So there's a set of things there that we can work on as well that helps aid that whole process. End of the year or at project completion monitoring. We'll touch on it more here in a few minutes, but we do have a few other criteria that go along with the scorecard and just the overall evaluation of the schedule and how you did on your job. Profitability and safety. Those are also factors that at the end of the year are evaluated. Safety, you have to make sure you have a good safety record, minimize lost time accidents, et cetera, et cetera. Profitability, at the end of the job, when you've tallied all the numbers, did we meet the estimated profit for the job or exceed it? Hopefully we did. Those are things that are also a part of the criteria and part of the process. Now I'll turn it back over to Roy. He'll talk to you about incentives.
We felt like it was important to offer our job site staffs and the construction executives some incentives to adhere to the program, and these are very good incentives, beginning with incentives associated with the schedule challenges. And let me say a few things about schedule challenges. The objective behind a challenge is to challenge the job site staff to adhere to a particular planning and scheduling procedure, or actually, as we've done lately, establish some start and finish dates and meet those dates. When we first started issuing schedule challenges, we targeted some areas of our planning and scheduling procedures that we felt like needed attention. For instance, short-term schedules. We required job sites to send us copies of their short-term schedules by the close of business Friday. The reason we did that is we had a number of jobs that weren't even preparing any kind of document for a short-term schedule. So that was a real deficiency within the organization that we felt like needed to be addressed. We had an early on challenge that addressed the updating process, whereby we had certain criteria that the job site staff and the construction executive must meet during the update process. A lot of that's on the scorecard now, but again, that was an area we felt like needed to be addressed. The most recent challenge was more job specific, whereby we left it up to the job to select a dozen or so activities and establish start and finish dates for those activities within the parameters of the schedule. And if you met 75% of those dates, then you won the challenge. More than likely, that challenge is going to continue to be repeated because it directs attention to the schedule. It forces all of us to select activities, assign the start and finish dates, and then monitor those dates. So it's a good tool for making sure that we are as a minimum tracking those dates. And of course, with the schedule challenge, we had some merchandise that we gave away if the job team met the challenge. The second incentive we have is Caddell Cash. And this is the easiest thing in the world to be successful on. To participate in Caddell Cash, all you have to do is make sure you've signed up for every challenge throughout the year. That's all there is to it. You don't even have to meet the challenge. You just have to have your name on that sign-up sheet for every challenge throughout the year. And if you've done that, then you get the equivalent of $100 at the end of the year. And that $100 can be spent two ways. One, you can redeem it at the Caddell online gift shop, buying merchandise there, and use your points for it. And you never have any money out of pocket. The other thing you can do is you can go out and buy a pair of qualified work boots and then submit an expense report, and then you're reimbursed for the cost. Now, we allow Caddell Cash to be accrued for 2 years. So you can accumulate or accrue up to $200 over a period of 2 years. But at the end of 2 years, you need to spend it. So if you want to buy a really high quality pair of work boots every 2 years, then that's no money out of your pocket as long as you participate in the Caddell Cash program. Okay, the granddaddy of them all is the annual Outstanding Performer Award. Last year, we had 2 winners, 2 projects that won this award, and we gave away about $70,000 to those individuals. This is very real, and it could mean $5,000 to each of you because anybody on the home office payroll is eligible. Not just operations people, quality control people, office manager. Anybody on the home office payroll is eligible to win $5,000 if you're successful. One important change that we have recently made to this award is that it is no longer a competition among projects. In other words, we don't pick the best. We pick any project that is successful, any project that complies with the principles of the Scheduled Success Program, finishes on time, has a good safety record, makes a good portion of their bid profit. You know, if you have to overcome schedule obstacles throughout the project, that's good too. But it's no longer a competition among projects. It's really a competition amongst yourselves. You know, just make sure your project does well, and you're certainly in line to win. All right, thank you very much.